Disney fans are excited to get back to the magic, but so too are cast members. Not just because they are Disney fans, but because they have bills to pay. Some of that Disney magic is returning. It's different, but guests and cast members are back. Daniel Ranieri and Corey Escobar are watching from home.
Waiting for my unemployment to come through and praying that Disney calls me soon.
They're both Disney resort servers and furloughed.
There's nothing there, just bills and no way to pay them, and it's just really scary.
The parks are coming back, but not everyone's back to work.
That's the perception. And no, that's not the case.
And there's a ripple effect in the community when the theme parks suffer.
My landlord's a cast member. All three of us in this household are cast members. And there are tons of households like that throughout the Orlando area. And it's a web that stretches out very far.
Before the pandemic, Disney paid more than 70,000 cast members. How many have been called back is unclear. Disney won't say, but the Disney unions are. Unite Here Local 737 represents housekeeping and food and beverage cast members like Escobar and Ranieri. 7,000 out of 18,000 members were called back, about 39%. It's better for attraction and custodial workers with Local 362. More than 80% are back, a little less than 7,000 out of 8,000. The couple is concerned about COVID-19, but it's not their biggest worry.
At this point, I'd rather risk my health than be destitute with no money.
Praying Disney's reputation and pandemic precautions are enough.
I'm just scared, that's all.
To bring back workers and keep them working. Walt Disney World employs the majority of our theme park workers, but just remember, SeaWorld and Universal, they employ about another 30,000 people, and all of those workers aren't back yet either. And remember, those parks opened last month. Reporting outside the Walt Disney World, Sierra Puppin, Channel 9, Eyewitness News. And Julie Mayfield hopes if a Florida judge approves changing her gender marker, well, then she can convince an Alabama to change her birth certificate.
70-30 split, about 70% female, 30% male, but I still felt both. Even now in this body.
Today, Julie Mayfield told her story to a class of UCF students. She was born James Bradford Mayfield and grew up thinking she was a boy until 17.
I have an extra chromosome. It's attached to every chromosome in my body. So I am 47 XXY.
It led to challenges first as a child.
The learning disability, the social delays, the not walking, the not talking.
Then at 17, she was put on testosterone. After that, other medical issues plagued her. In 2018, the National Institutes of Health reported she was born with more than just an extra chromosome.
No Adam's apple, breast tissue, one ovary and one testicle, partial pancreas, half pancreas, partial uterine floor.
She was diagnosed with lupus and osteoporosis of the lower back and spine, which meant she needed to be put on estrogen. If she didn't do it,
you'll be dead in 5 years.
Transitioning into a woman in her 40s was hard but necessary.
Same driver, same exact soul, just a better vehicle.
To better navigate her new life, Julie legally changed her name, then tried to change her gender on her Alabama birth certificate. But Alabama wanted proof of sex reassignment surgery, something she didn't have.
We need a court order. So that's where I came in.
Dr. Irene Pons and Julie met in the 90s working at Disney. Now Pons is an attorney and legal lecturer. With the help of UCF students, she filed this petition for gender marker change that a judge is now reviewing. The hope, if Florida changes it, Alabama will change the birth certificate.
You knew Julie before the transition?
Yes.
Well, what are the differences?
None. You just want to be Julie's friend. And it was the same way when she was Brad.
If the judge comes back and denies your petition, what's next?
We fight it, right? You don't stop.
So why is this so important? Well, she needs the birth certificate to change so she can travel more easily, get a passport, a loan for a house. Issues, a lot of us just take for granted.
Yeah, basic things that we all have. And if this local judge says no, Sierra, then what's next? What does she do?
Well, they're hoping that doesn't happen, but if it does, well, then they're going to try and find another attorney that can help them with an appeal. And if they have to, they plan to take this all the way to the Florida Supreme Court.
I love, too, that the UCF students are involved and they're assisting in this and helping to pull all this together. That's really great training for them as well.
It is. Actually, Dr. Pons was saying her students were so excited that they got to help with a real-life case and get to meet Julie. As you see, she was in the classroom again today.
Fantastic.
Great
Thank you,
story.
Sierra.
I also asked the district if certain schools, as well as those grade levels, were seeing more of a problem. No answer yet from the district, but we do know thousands more children ended up at schools like this for face-to-face learning, and we know for some families, grades was part of the equation.
First day back to school, Bobby.
Orlando Commissioner Regina Hill shot video of her grandson returning back to school after 9 weeks of launch at home. Moments later, she was crying in her car on Facebook Live.
So I had to take the risk for the greater good and send him back. So y'all keep my baby in prayer.
COVID already took her brother. She feared for herself and grandson. 2 weeks later, she teared up again, but says it was the right decision.
I started thinking, I don't want my grandson that my daughter have left behind to fail. It's my right to protect him and make sure he's successful before I leave. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Just thinking about it.
She's not alone.
So at this point, I do kind of have to prioritize his safety over his education. I wish I didn't have to make that kind of a choice.
Judy Hayes' youngest son has Down syndrome, which comes with learning challenges and underlying health issues, making him more susceptible to COVID. OCPS says progress reports went out last week. Teachers are trying to intervene after an increase in D's and F's, offering virtual sessions for kids in Launchette at home. For struggling face-to-face learners, there are group and one-on-one options. Now, instead of avoiding class, Poppy is eager to learn, even choosing school over a theme park day.
So that, to me, confirmed that this was the right thing.
And keep in mind, some kids are actually doing better on Launchette at home than they did in the classroom, according to some parents I've spoken to. And while distance learning is likely contributing to lower grades, it's not the only reason why a kid may be struggling. Some kids might have more stress after a parent lost a job, anxiety over COVID, and the list goes on and on. Reporting live in Orlando, Sierra Puppin, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Feel like they're being forgotten.
You know, the nurses I spoke to know there's a limited supply of vaccines. They get that and are fine waiting their turn, but they feel like offering shots to seniors before all frontline healthcare workers are vaccinated is a mistake. Home care nurse Heather Hopkins told me she jumped at the chance to get the COVID-19 vaccine when she got a message from Seminole County letting her know she was eligible for a shot.
And they said to continue to check the website for the sign up, which I did.
Over the phone, she said she secured a vaccine appointment for this upcoming Wednesday, but it was canceled. The state wants these Moderna doses to go to seniors 65 plus.
They had stated publicly that we would have an opportunity, and then once everybody had an opportunity, then it would go to the next group of individuals. We have been skipped, and we are continuing to work on the front lines.
Seminole County's emergency manager says healthcare workers should reach out to hospitals with doses. Hopkins says she did, but no luck.
Give us access. Don't tell us to go to the hospitals when the hospitals are not willing to give us the vaccines because we're not employees.
She's frustrated. So is her colleague, Kathy Reger. Reger's 70, but still thinks healthcare workers should get inoculated ahead of all seniors. If she could talk to the governor, she'd tell him.
Listen to the experts. We should be rolling out vaccines and not trying to put on a show for your reelection.
It's very frustrating. It's hurtful.
Disappointing after months of risking her own health to visit patients at home.
We can't sit at home and protect ourselves, unlike some of the folks in the 65 and up.
And today I reached out to two of the hospitals that got the vaccine, Advent Health and Orlando Health, to see if they have started to vaccinate non-employees. No answer just yet. The governor says he is prioritizing seniors to reduce deaths and hospitalizations. Reporting live in the control room, Sierra Putman, Channel 9, Eyewitness News. Vanessa, today I spoke to Orlando Commissioner Bakari Burns. He's working on that initiative, talking to national, state, and local leaders about how to educate folks in the community. To put this in perspective, a new Kaiser Family Foundation poll shows that Black adults are starting to come around to the vaccine, but still 35% say they won't take it. Bakari Burns says this pharmacy will likely house COVID-19 vaccines in a few months.
We estimate that over 50% of our patients would be qualified to get the vaccine in the first phase.
Because many Orange Blossom Family Health patients are either vulnerable due to health or living conditions or because they're essential workers.
Are you planning to get the vaccine?
Yes.
And publicly to encourage other Black people to get inoculated. Some patients will take it willingly.
If it's going to keep me alive, yeah.
Others fear COVID-19.
My auntie had died from corona.
But also fear the vaccine.
Are you going to take the vaccine? No.
I don't want to jinx myself. So I said, no, I probably wouldn't get it.
Health experts say the vaccine has side effects but won't give you COVID-19. UCF Associate Professor Dr. Rufus Barfield says these fears are rooted in American history, from doctors experimenting on slaves to using Henrietta Lacks cells without consent, and most notably, the infamous Tuskegee experiment. It was a government study started in 1932 that used Black men diagnosed with syphilis. The goal, study the untreated disease. The men were never told they had syphilis and never treated. It lasted 40 years.
So when we talk about a vaccination, there is deep historical context of mistrust, not just of white healthcare institutions, but amongst Blacks, Black physicians, Black healthcare workers.
He warns these images and even images of Black celebrities or President Obama getting a shot aren't enough.
It's critical that we, again, provide that education, but don't downplay the history of mistrust, but also the concerns that are on a lot of people's minds.
He plans to talk and answer questions via social media, face-to-face interactions, and anything in between.
Now, part of that education effort is being real about that vaccine, real about the side effects and the unknowns. Researchers still don't know how often people will need to be vaccinated. Reporting live in Orlando, Sierra Putman, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Greg, she loves her kids, but she worries about tomorrow. Will they keep their masks on? Will they properly wash their hands? Also, will parents make sure they don't send sick kids into the classroom?
Seeing their smile, seeing their excitement it fills my heart, and I'm really excited. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you again.
But Lancaster Elementary teacher Melissa Barrios is not excited for Face-to-Face Friday.
I preferenced Launch Ed, yes.
And so why are you doing face-to-face?
I was told that in the specials department we're needed for face-to-face.
She won't be in her own classroom, but going from class to class.
I really don't know what I'm walking into.
The Orange County Classroom Teachers Association has a list of face-to-face concerns, from air quality, limited or subpar PPE, and normal class sizes. The district says classes could be full. There aren't enough face-to-face teachers. Lawsuits also loom. The Florida Education Association is suing the state over reopening, and the local union is ready to move forward to try and get OCPS to stop face-to-face.
Are you going to go forward with count 2, or are you still waiting?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Board member Melissa Bird says still schools will reopen as planned.
We had to go ahead and do what we needed to do for the kids, and then we'll see what happens with the lawsuit.
Barrios is anxious, but will be there for her kids.
I haven't been sleeping well these last couple of nights. Stomach aches, tight chest, praying a lot, trying to trust the process.
And the FEE case we mentioned wrapped up for the day. Closing statements are happening tomorrow. Although some teachers are afraid to do face-to-face, the union says there will not be a strike, sick out, or walkout because it's illegal in Florida. Reporting live in studio, Sierra Putman, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Well, I'm a Black is 96 years old and has told shipbuilders to hurry up so she can see the completion of this Navy destroyer, a ship she'll help christen next week. I'm a Black's home is a museum.
This is when we were dating.
A museum of the life she built with her husband, Delbert. At 96, she still remembers first seeing him at a basketball game with friends.
Kiddingly said to them, I like number 13. I like his legs.
Those eye-catching legs led to a 50-year marriage. Sadly,
Delbert died in 2000. Now, first thing in the morning, she sees the Navy destroyer being built in his name. She got the news a few years back.
The USS Delbert D. Black. That sounds good to me.
Here's video of the construction of the Delbert D. Black DDG-119, courtesy of Huntington Ingalls Shipbuilding Division.
It's going to be a lot of bells and whistles on it to keep up with a modern Navy.
Delbert Black was the first ever Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy. He wanted the position to be a voice for enlisted men and women. Ima says some wanted him to fail, but he listened and heard the concerns of enlisted sailors and helped find solutions. Ima suggested he wear 3 stars.
And the office now is a huge success. The Master Chief of the Navy is at the Pentagon alongside the Secretary of the Navy and the Chief of Naval Operation, and they all work together for the good of the Navy.
And she was such a great interview. I can tell. She says that this ship isn't just for her or her husband, but all those enlisted sailors that he worked for.
Wow.
I like how she said she saw him and liked his legs. That's just, I knew I liked her then.
Yes, and obviously at this point we understand that her husband served in World War II, and she did too?
It's a crazy story. So he actually survived the attack on Pearl Harbor, and then she served in the Navy Waves, which is the Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service. She said a recruiter came into the shop she was working for, and she knew that's how she was going to see the world. Wow.
That is quite the story.